So, Ava, we were talking earlier about this whole digital nomad trend. I've been really curious, but it feels like a completely different world. Have you ever spoken to one or actually gotten a sense of what their life is really like?
Absolutely, Andrew. I actually met someone through a travel Facebook group, a guy named Liam. He's been working remotely from Bali for the past 2 years. It was incredibly eye-opening, honestly. It wasn't just sun, beaches, and cocktails, although there was definitely some of that.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people picture that. What were some of the biggest surprises you got from talking to him? Like beyond the obvious vacation vibes.
Well, the first was just how much work he actually did. He said it's a massive discipline. He's a freelance graphic designer, and he schedules everything, treats it like a normal 9 to 5, but with way more flexibility. It's not a constant vacation.
That makes sense. So it's not just working where you want, but when too. What about the practical stuff? Like internet access, that must be a constant worry.
Seriously, that was a huge part of the conversation. He has a backup satellite internet device, but it's not always reliable, especially in more remote areas. He's learned to build his work schedule around internet availability. It's a constant balancing act.
Wow, that's a serious commitment. I'm imagining it's lonely too, right? Working remotely without the office environment.
It can be, for sure. Liam said he intentionally built his schedule to include social activities, co-working spaces, and language exchange groups. It's about actively seeking connection. He emphasized that building a community is absolutely key to a successful digital nomad life.
That's smart. So, it sounds like it takes a really different mindset than, say, a traditional office job. What about finances? Do they just travel without a budget?
Absolutely not. He's incredibly meticulous with his finances. He tracks every expense, budgets religiously, and has a contingency fund for unexpected things like unreliable internet or a sudden change in location. He really stressed the importance of understanding your costs before you go.
That's really sensible. I can see why it's a big leap. The freedom is amazing, but the responsibility is huge. Did he talk about any of the challenges beyond the practical, like cultural differences or just adjusting to a different pace of life?
Oh, definitely. He mentioned feeling a bit of culture shock initially, even though he speaks some Indonesian. It's about adapting to a slower pace, different expectations around time, and just generally being more aware of your surroundings. It's a big personal growth thing, too.
That's fascinating. It sounds less like a holiday, more like a residency. I guess it's a completely different way of viewing work and life.
Exactly. And it's not for everyone. He said it requires a lot of self-discipline, adaptability, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It really forces you to confront your fears and insecurities.
What about the types of people who are successful as digital nomads? Were there any common traits you noticed?
Definitely. He said self-motivation was huge. You have to want to work, even when you don't feel like it. Also, a good sense of self-sufficiency and the ability to troubleshoot problems on your own were critical. It's about being resourceful.
That makes perfect sense. So, to summarize, it's not just about escaping the 9 to 5, it's about building a whole new way of life. It's a lot more complex than just booking a ticket to somewhere exotic.
And it's an ongoing learning experience. Liam said he's still figuring things out, and that's part of the adventure. He's constantly adapting his approach based on what works and what doesn't.
Well, Ava, this has been incredibly insightful. I think I have a much better understanding of what it really takes to be a digital nomad. It definitely sounds like a life that requires a serious commitment and a whole lot of self-discovery.
No problem at all. I'm happy to share my experiences as a digital nomad. It's a lifestyle that's not for everyone, but it's definitely worked for me.
That's what I want to know. What inspired you to leave the traditional 9 to 5 and start traveling?
For me, it was a mix of burnout and curiosity. I realized I needed a change, and the digital nomad lifestyle seemed like the perfect way to explore new places while still working.
That's really interesting. So, how do you make a living while being on the road all the time?
That's the million-dollar question. For me, it's been a combination of freelance writing and social media management for clients around the world.
Wow, That sounds like a great gig. Have you faced any challenges along the way?
Oh, definitely.
One of the biggest hurdles is finding reliable internet connections in certain countries. It can be frustrating when your laptop dies or the signal is weak.
I can imagine. What about culture shock? Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, it's definitely happened. Sometimes it's hard to adjust to new customs and ways of life, but it's also been a great opportunity for me to learn and grow as a person.
That makes sense. How do you balance work and play while traveling? It can be tough to find that balance.
I think the key is finding activities that bring you joy, whether that's hiking, trying new foods, or practicing yoga. For me, it's all about prioritizing self-care and making time for things that make me happy.
That sounds like a great approach. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking of becoming a digital nomad?
I'd say do your research, save up enough money, and be prepared for the unknown. It won't always be easy, but it can be incredibly rewarding if you're willing to put in the work.
Thanks for sharing your insights with us today. It's been really helpful to get a glimpse into this lifestyle.
No problem at all. I hope more people will consider pursuing their dreams and taking the leap.